Chapter 4, Blooming Camaraderie. 3rd Sep 2044, MBA Block, Andhra University, Vishakhapatnam. Mitra and I entered the classroom, and he wasted no time in asking for my help. Time turned onto you, Makha, but I need your favor to turn mine, he said, his face etched with concern. Without hesitation, I asked, "What's the matter, Mitra? How can I assist you? I understand you have a lot on your plate for Preeti, but if you lend me a hand for Aisha, I'll make it worth your while," he promised, updating his statement. I sighed, knowing I had to juggle my own responsibilities. "All right, I'll do what I can," I agreed, feeling the tension in my body holding my phone. Mitra's expression shifted as he noticed my distress. "What's wrong, Makha?" he inquired, sensing my unease. "My phone is driving me insane. I can't keep up with the notifications and apps," I lamented, my voice tinged with frustration. "Hey, Makha, don't worry, I got your back in case of any emergency. Feel free to use my phone," Mitra assured me. I nodded with gratitude as we settled into our seats. Checking my trusty smartwatch, I noted that it was already 9:10. Suddenly, I spotted Amita, Aisha, and Preeti strolling into the classroom. Mitra caught sight of them too and waved a friendly greeting, "Hi buddies." He got up from his seat and sauntered over to their side of the room. The girls returned his greeting and started arranging their belongings. Meanwhile, Mitra engaged them in some light conversation, and they seemed to be enjoying themselves. Soon, they congregated around Preeti's desk, and Mitra motioned for me to join them. I eagerly left my seat, thrilled at the chance to socialize with my classmates. Aisha opened up the conversation by asking, "Hey guys, what's going on?" Mitra, with a bored look on his face, replied, "Nothing much, just waiting for the day to end." Amita chimed in, "Same here. Chakrapani sir gave us a huge assignment, and I messed it up. I can't wait for this period to be over." But I couldn't resist bragging, "Well, it wasn't that difficult. I finished it easily." "Really?" Aisha asked with a cute smile, "Can we see your work?" I reached my bag and pulled out my notes. I proudly showed them my notes on leadership and entrepreneurship, saying, "Leadership is all about managing people efficiently, and Sir asked us to come up with a strategy to manage 30 employees. I know it sounds intimidating, but trust me, I've got this." Amita and Aisha were both impressed, and Mitra was intrigued by my explanation. I continued, "Instead of manually keeping track of everyone's progress, I used a formula and applied an optimized distribution sum from economics. I tabulated the tasks and employees, and optimized the best work for each of them." Preeti, who had been quiet until now, asked me, "So, you finished this 2-hour assignment in just 10 minutes using this method?" I was a little taken aback but nodded, "Yes." "Wow," Aisha said, grabbing her work to compare with mine, "I bet your answers are correct. Can you check mine too?" I was happy to help, and soon everyone was comparing their work with mine. Amita turned to Preeti and asked, "Did you check yours too?" Preeti replied, "Yes, I did it using a lengthy process, but my answers are correct." We all breathed a sigh of relief, grateful that we could put this assignment behind us before Chakrapani sir's period started. "Aditya, I must say you have impressed me with your approach to completing the work," Chakrapani sir praised me, and my classmates started clapping. As I basked in the glory of my small achievement, I could sense Preeti's admiration, which made me stand a bit taller. The professor reviewed all the notes and concluded that only 6 people had completed the task correctly. "I'm pleased to see that 5 of these 6 correct assignments belong to the backbenchers. It's time for others to learn from their success," he remarked. It was evident that those 5 copies were ours. The girls looked at me with a sense of happiness and gratitude, knowing that I had helped them achieve this feat. That was amazing, Aditya. You truly nailed it? Aisha exclaimed with a whisper. Amita nodded to support the same. I felt a surge of confidence when I realized that I was able to impress girls easily. However, I knew that I lacked the ability to charm Preeti with my words. Little did I know that the day held unexpected surprises for me. Marketing Lab, MBA block, Andhra University. The lab was crowded with students, making it a challenge to secure a good seat for the class. This is ridiculous, I grumbled to myself, wondering why anyone would conduct a class for such a large group of people. Eventually, I managed to snag a prime spot near the front of the room and waited for the class to begin. Mitra grabbed the seat next to me without much fanfare, and soon 3 girls approached us in search of seats. I was pleasantly surprised when Preeti took the seat next to me, with Amita and Aisha settling in beside her. Looks like we've secured our spots together, Mitra commented with a smile. As the class began, I couldn't help but admire Preeti's subtle beauty. Her captivating eyes, a small birth mole on her neck, and the jasmine aroma she wore all caught my attention. But it was her simple silver anklets, with small bells that tinkled softly, that really drew me in. Before I knew it, the lab assistant Sukanya called out, "Good morning, students. Shall we begin today's lab class?" I turned my attention to the front of the room, eager to learn. I turned away towards the board to get indulged in the class. So students, let's make a new practice assignment with the branded app. This AI app will give suggestions about how to create brand value for your product. Sukanya said, and the class murmured in reply. She continued, I would like you all to install this app soon, so that we can start off with the task. Everyone grabbed their phone and began to install the branded app from the online store. As I attempted to install the score, my phone began to act up once again. It was frustrating, to say the least. Ugh, why is my phone so buggy today? I muttered to myself, jabbing at the screen. Mitra noticed my struggle and gave me a reassuring tap on the shoulder. Hey, don't worry about it. We can figure something out. Why don't we use my phone instead? Before I could respond, I felt another tap on my shoulder. This time, it was Preeti. She held out her hand and asked for my phone. I hesitated, unsure of what she was going to do with it. But I watched in amazement as Preeti expertly navigated through my phone's command prompt. After a few quick settings adjustments and a short code, she turned to me and asked, "Do you see your phone screen on your smartwatch?" I checked my watch and, to my surprise, my phone's screen was now displayed on the tiny device. Wow, how did you do that? I asked in awe. Preeti smiled. I changed the settings to your smartwatch. It can now be your primary device, she explained as she handed me back my phone. I couldn't thank her enough. You saved my day, I exclaimed, relieved to finally have a solution. I grabbed my smartwatch to my hands and began to access the app for the lab. I retained my smile even though I was wearing a mask, not only because the phone bugs were fixed, but also because the distance between us was reduced. Sometimes, unexpected miracles occur, and that day I personally experienced one. As we finished our lab assignment, the interval buzzer chimed, signaling our break. Getting up from my seat, I felt a weight lifted off my shoulders. Hey, why don't you join us for lunch? Aisha invited me and Mitra. Sounds like a plan. Mitra replied eagerly, beating me to the punch. Cafeteria, MBA block, Andhra University. What are you craving? Mitra asked the group. I'm in the mood for a sandwich, Aisha replied with a smile. Count me in for a sandwich too, Amita chimed in. I'm feeling fries, I stated my preference. I'll just have a Diet Coke, Preeti said. The lab class was pretty interesting today, Amita exclaimed. Definitely, Aisha agreed. The app we used could be really helpful for founders trying to come up with ideas. I'm not so sure, I interjected. I think the suggestions might be too limited to keep up with current trends. The templates and styles seem too basic for my liking. Ah, come on. You're just like Preeti over here, ordering only a Diet Coke, Aisha teased. Preeti gave Aisha a playful slap on the shoulder. I just like to savor my food in a proper setting. And what's your definition of a proper setting? Aisha prodded. I mean, just look at this place. It's so crowded with students. I don't think it's the best spot to really enjoy your food, Preeti explained. In that case, you'd have to eat every meal at home. Everywhere else is bound to be noisy, Amita joked. Not necessarily, Preeti countered with a grin. I love watching cricket matches, so if there's a game on, I don't mind a bit of noise. There you go again with your love for cricket, Aisha said, rolling her eyes. Cricket is an emotion, my dear, and it trumps all other distractions. I love to eat and watch the match, Preeti said, as if delivering a manifesto. You'd need a stadium for that, Amita pointed out. Not always. A cafeteria like this with a live cricket match streaming would also be perfect for me, Preeti said, her smile growing wider. You're speaking right to my heart. I too love watching cricket, while having food. I replied. Here you go guys. Mitra came with a tray filled with items we asked for. There's actually a place called Screen Foodie near Novotel that has a massive 150-inch screen to watch cricket matches. Would you all be up for going there later tonight? I asked table mates, brimming with excitement. Yeah, I've been there before. It's a great spot, Aisha confirmed. I'm not really into cricket, so I'll pass, Amita said. Same here, I actually have some other plans, Aisha echoed. I was sure Mitra would want to join me. He loved watching, but I was surprised when he declined. You guys go ahead. I have plans to meet up with a friend later. My fondness for Mitra only grew at that moment, he responded as if he were the Ram Karan of the epic RRR movie. Suppressing my emotions, I turned to Preeti. Will you join me then? Sure, sounds like fun. What time should we meet? Preeti said, her enthusiasm palpable. 6 p.m. it is, then, I confirmed, trying my best to contain my excitement. Screen Foodie Restaurant, Vishakhapatnam. The bustling Screen Foodie restaurant in Vishakhapatnam was alive with the sounds of excited chatter and the clinking of cutlery. Patrons were hurriedly grabbing tables to ensure they didn't miss a single moment of the match, while the impeccably dressed waitstaff in white and red glided around taking orders. Suddenly, a blank wall on one side of the restaurant was transformed into a mammoth screen by a powerful laser projector. The diners erupted in cheers as India won the toss. Amidst the entire hubbub, a waiter glided gracefully through the throngs of people and approached our table number 6. What can I get for you, sir? He inquired, his voice as smooth as silk. I turned to my companion, Preeti, and teased her playfully, so, what do you want to have? No more compromises on just a Diet Coke this time, huh? Preeti shot me a mock glare before responding quickly, no way. I'm going to stuff my belly now. She then turned to the waiter and politely requested, may we have a few moments to peruse the menu? Of course, ma'am, the waiter replied, before moving on to another table. Preeti and I both whipped out our smartphones and scanned the QR code on our table. In a matter of seconds, the menu appeared on our screens. "This menu seems pretty standard," I remarked, scrolling through the options. "Just the usual suspects: fries, burgers, pizzas, ice creams and soft drinks." "That's perfect for me," Preeti declared. "I know exactly what I want, a cheesy pizza with butterscotch ice cream for dessert." I, on the other hand, was feeling to explore more as usual. I'm not sure what to order just yet. I want to try something I haven't had before," I mused. Preeti patiently waited for me to make up my mind. "Take your time," she said encouragingly. After a few moments of contemplation, I finally decided, "Gotcha, a special custard mocktail and a cheesy broccoli pizza." I beckoned to the waiter, waving him over to our table. "Excuse me, could we place our order now, please?" I asked politely. "Of course, sir," he replied with a smile, before quickly jotting down our choices and disappearing into the busy kitchen. "I can't wait to see the Indian openers give the bowlers a hard time," I exclaimed excitedly. "Absolutely, the openers hold a significant role in the Indian innings as always," Preeti responded promptly. I noticed a newfound enthusiasm and openness in her demeanor that I hadn't seen before. "You seem more free and expressive today. Why don't you express yourself like this in college or other places?" I asked curiously. "It's a long story, and you might find it dull," she replied with a smile, still keeping her eyes glued to the screen. I was more interested in spending time with Preeti than the match, so I replied, "I was known for my patience during my school days." "You can trust me to listen to your story?" Preeti adjusted her hair, which was decorated with numerous bangles, took a deep breath, and said, "My family has many restrictions, Aditya. I wasn't allowed to go out without any specific reason. During my childhood, I played less and interacted less with others." I listened carefully to her every word. "I hate to admit it, but I've become introverted over time," Preeti continued, "due to these circumstances." "You don't seem that way right now," I smiled. "Yeah, I feel like royalty when I'm at my favorite places." Preeti winked. "That's fantastic," I replied. "By the way, I was going to ask you, how did you set up my phone earlier? I tried to do it myself, but it didn't work." "I was also surprised by your knowledge of economics during the first few days of the year," Preeti continued. "I studied computer applications, so these things come naturally to me." "Oh, now it makes sense," I exclaimed. "And to answer your question, I have a degree in commerce, which gives me a good understanding of accounting and economics." "Great, now I understand," Preeti replied. "Also, I noticed that you like to explore a lot. Why is that? Are you asking me just based on my food choices here?" I chuckled. "It's not just that. Mitra also used to talk about your exploratory nature," Preeti clarified. "Well, that's a story you'll have to be patient to hear," I teased. "I'm also known for my patience," she replied teasingly, encouraging me to continue. I grinned and began to tell her about my past. My father always wanted me to explore and learn new things. He let me make my own mistakes and learn from them. It wasn't easy, but now I've grown to love it." "Are you sure about loving that? The name custard mocktail already sounds nauseating to me," Preeti revealed her aversion. "Okay, let's see whose ideology triumphs," I replied, glancing at the waiter approaching our table with a tray filled with our orders. "Your order is here, sir," said the waiter with a polite smile as he presented us with a platter filled with cheesy pizza, butterscotch ice cream, cheesy broccoli pizza, and a special custard mocktail. "Could we get some extra straws and a plate, please?" I asked the waiter. "Of course, sir. I'll get them for you right away," the waiter replied as he hurried off to fetch our requested items. I can't wait to see your reaction to your dishes, Preeti exclaimed, her eyes brimming with excitement. Just wait and watch, you'll have your turn, I teased as I reached out to take a sip of the special custard mocktail. After a moment of contemplation, I nodded my head, not too shabby. As the waiter returned with our extra straws and plate, I handed the glass to Preeti with a new straw in it. Go ahead, and give it a try. Preeti took a sip and her face lit up. This is amazing. I offered the glass to her again. Looks like I win this round. Preeti giggled, you win, but I want you to relish your decision. Suddenly, the cheers of the crowd around us grew louder. We looked around to see that Neil, the opener, had already scored 50 runs. Both of us joined in the excitement and clapped along with the rest of the crowd. What a game that was! Preeti remarked as I held the door open for her. I know, right? That last wicket was a game changer. I still can't believe Rudra caught it. I replied, stepping out of the restaurant. The restaurant had a beautiful lawn that stretched for about 50 feet, leading to the road. The sea view in front of us made it even more enchanting. The full moon in the sky only added to the beauty. Such a gorgeous sight, greenery, sea, moon, and I trailed off. And Preeti turned around, curious. An even prettier girl. I teased her, smiling. Stop it, Aditya. Preeti laughed, I guess, we have no assignments for next week's class. What's your plan for tomorrow, since it's Sunday? Nothing planned yet. What about you? I asked. Same here. Let's message the gang and see what everyone's up to. Preeti suggested. Great idea. I'll create a group on Secretum. I replied. Can I drop you home? I offered, as we walked out of the main gate. I have my bike here. Thank you, Aditya, but my cousin is coming to pick me up. Preeti looked across the road, there he is now. I turned to see a handsome guy, driving a Royal Enfield Electric, approaching us. Hey Rakesh, this is Aditya, my MBA mate. Preeti introduced me to Rakesh, her cousin. Nice to meet you, Aditya. Rakesh shook my hand. Likewise. I replied with a smile. Preeti got on his bike. Okay, Aditya. I'll catch up with you on Secretum. Sure thing, bye. I waved as they rode off. Who is this Rakesh guy? I wondered, maybe just a cousin, brother types. I tried to reassure myself, as I walked towards my bike in the parking lot. I was elated with the progress in our relationship, thinking to myself, nothing can stop me from getting her now. But as time passed, things took a different turn, leaving me feeling frustrated and depressed.